Clarice, we are live and broadcasting. Welcome,
Perfect.
everyone.
You always get there before me, Shelley.
Well, one of us has to go first.
I'm always caught by surprise somehow, even though I know it's coming.
What are we talking about today, Clarice?
We are talking about finding your art. So the relationship cultivation in customer success. And you're going to kick us off with really what that means.
Well, it's my philosophy. So we're doing this 5-part series to look at all the different aspects of customer success and kind of talk through those in a bit more detail. And today we are talking about the art of customer success, because I think it is a really heavily driven personality and trait business. I think we have an art form in the way that we build relationships, create relationships, build rapport. And there is also a theme to how customer success managers generally tend to be, and the people that the profession attracts. So we're going to talk about that today.
Great.
Yeah, go on then. Let me ask you a question first. I think you have a unique personality trait that you use as a CSM, which is your humour, of course, which endears you a lot to your customers.
Yeah.
But why don't you talk about that, how you might have used that in the past and how that works for you as a skill, since not everyone is so blessed with humour. I'd like to hear your aspect.
It's a burden, sometimes. Yeah, I think it is. I'm fortunate in the sense that humor is something that I use, not just it's not something I'm switching on to be a customer success manager. It's something that I use personally, which you will have experienced, which anyone who really has worked with me will have experienced. I think probably one of my first reports back from sort of probably nursery would have been, Clarice needs to turn down the class clown a little bit sometimes in class.
But it works for you today.
Exactly. So little did I know I was honing a skill for life. And yeah, I think I guess the way that I've used it is knowing, a big part of it is knowing when not to use it. And then when knowing how to use it as a bit of a temperature check. So I'll sort of explain what I mean by that. There are times where in building a rapport with someone, I think using my sense of humor is a really good way for me to gauge where someone's at. What are they comfortable with? What are they not? And then really meeting them where they are. We have all, customer success managers, have experienced unpleasant calls where there is a complaint coming in. They are not happy with a service that they've received, or a plethora of other reasons why a customer might not be best pleased. But I found that even at the start of one of those quite tricky situations, having a little drop of humor really helps to diffuse the tension of a complaint. Again, you've got to know when to use it and when not to use it, because sometimes it can go the other way. And that is something you build by recognizing, as I say, where a client is. It tends to be pretty obvious where humor isn't wanted, but even in those calls, I find to do a temperature check at the end, I try and use my humor a little bit to say, have we resolved this for you? Is there anything we could have done? We could do better in the future, and sort of get that feedback at the end with a little splice of humor in there, to kind of get the customer back on side. Because also at the end of the day, we're spending so much time on calls, spending so much time at work. Let's just enjoy it a little bit. It brings a bit of me that I'm very happy to share at work.
So what other traits do you see in other CSMs you've worked with? A wide spectrum. What other traits do we use in CS, in the profession?
So it's something that certainly a skill that I need to hone. But others I've seen is their analytical precision in their approach, I think, to customer success. So they may not have that kind of jokey side to them necessarily, but they really know how to get down to the nitty gritty and how to explain it in such a way that's clear. Because I think depending on your buying persona that you're speaking to, right, not everyone understands what Google Analytics is or data on demand is, and having the ability to be clear, concise, methodical in your telling of what that data means. So yeah, analytical and almost scientific in their persona to deliver that information. What about you?
What about me? Well, from having been in the industry for some time, I can say that I generally see a lot of very distinctive patterns in the people who are attracted to CS. One of them being this overwhelming desire to help. You know, it's a very empathetic position to hold. You're generally going above and beyond, and you want to deliver really exceptional service. And with that, you need to have a level of patience. You know, that empathy piece is there's a line, I think, between how much empathy you give versus how much you stand up for what's right for your representation for that business that you work for. So that with that comes quite high levels of professionalism, actually. You know, the buck stops with you, and if you're an advocate for the business and for the company you're working with, your customer, it's really important that you're confident and you can know how to walk that line really comfortably and be that trusted advisor, which is a well-used word and one I'm not, you know, terribly a big fan of, but it, you know, you're building a relationship. It comes down to you know, having that art of relationship building, which is why we're talking about it, because it's one aspect of CS. It is building a status with that customer that needs to be generally quite firm, quite directive, quite very professional, but has that empathy and the patience and really service levels that go above and beyond. So it's definitely the CSMs that I hire and the ones I've worked with repeatedly have all had very similar traits, and the teams get on exceptionally well, I think, because of that. And you know, there are downsides, I think, and we're going to go on and talk about that a bit more, because you know, what happens if we have all different levels of experience in CS, and if you're not used to setting boundaries and you're not used to knowing how to be that true trusted advocate for your business, but and for the company you're working with as well, you know, there are ways of, you know, there's a chance of being taken advantage of. Have you seen that?
Definitely. And I think it actually goes back to a point we made, maybe it was last week, which is having an understanding within your team of like, actually, can we all agree we're not going to answer emails that come in at 7:30 p.m. because that's beyond our scope. Even at 6, you know, you as a team, you set those boundaries and you have the trust in other people that they'll do that. But 100% I've experienced that I need this immediately. And actually, what I've tested as I've got more confident in my role and I've gained more experience is pushing back on that. And when someone says it's urgent, I need it immediately, questioning, okay, can I get it to you by Monday? And actually people's terms of immediately urgent might not actually be exactly that. So finding out where people's kind of urgencies lie, I suppose. But yeah, I've definitely experienced the taking advantage of well, last time you did this, so can you not do that again? Sometimes it transpires in things like in another life there was an old-fashioned report that one would have to pull to deliver data. However, now we have tools that we've done the training on that is now, it's almost given back to the client. You now need to actually, you can look up that and you can serve yourself in that way. So it's not actually, it's knowing sometimes they're not taking advantage, but they may not know. So it's an education piece.
Yeah, testing the boundary.
Definitely. And also, it's you as a customer success manager checking yourself, not being like, oh, they're really doing this, being like, oh no, this is all they need. Taking a beat and being
and
like, this is all they need.
You mentioned it there with saying, is there anything else I can help with, and almost preempting as well what might come, and the confidence you build over time. I think as a CSM, you learn through probably mistakes actually, and through just the experience of understanding what people want and how you protect yourself, because otherwise you're in this totally reactive state, which is never a comfortable position for a CSM to be in.
No.
Having the kind of foresight to say and preempt what's coming up, or knowing what they're going to be asking for next, I think is a skill as well.
Such and one that grows not just with your experience as a customer success manager, but if you're new to a business and you're learning that, because you don't really know at the beginning, do you? You don't know because you haven't been through cycles and things like that with clients. So that's such an important piece to get up to speed with quite quickly. I think another one, Shelley, I don't know what you think of this, is a personality trait of admitting when you don't know the answer. I'm sure we've both experienced customer success managers that pretend they have all the answers and tend to go on a little bit too much. And you can watch the client going, that didn't actually answer my question. And I'm not sure you actually do know what you're saying.
And maybe that's the transparency piece that's so important actually in that human delivery, is just saying, you know what, I actually don't know the answer to that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It comes through with confidence, doesn't it? If you're able to be comfortable enough with that.
Yeah. And you mentioned sort of the human piece there. You mentioned to me earlier a sort of example of someone you've worked with that did that very well.
Yeah, I mean, it's about that rapport building, and I use this example quite a lot to demonstrate a point. But someone that's worked for me a couple of times had this really great knack of humanizing her first engagement with a customer. And often as a CSM, you want to engage, you're introducing yourself for the first time. It may be a customer who's really unresponsive, they're too busy, they don't really value your relationship enough, maybe with a previous CSM they had, or whatever it might be. But you're having to get across that first message in an email of, hey, I'm human. And the example is, she used to always write something about herself, like, I love dogs, and I'm going to be working with you over the next few years, and I'm really excited to work with you. Just a bit about myself, I'm this person and I live here, and I enjoy doing this after work, and I have a mad interest in dogs, for example. That might be a way to, she found it worked really well for her, and that's about who she was. And I think it's a great example of making it human
and a way of standing out, right? How many emails do we get from different businesses that's like, hi, I'm your new X, and it's like, okay, another one, archive, actually saying that it helping you stand out. It really
putting some personality into it.
Yeah, I'm going to try that, because obviously I'm being handed new accounts now that I'm not new necessarily anymore at OpenBlend, but I'm definitely going to try that with some
try it.
Not that I have any disengaged customers, Shelley.
No, we don't. We have an amazing customer base here at OpenBlend.
Yeah,
really love our customers. So why don't we talk a bit about how we kind of, you've seen it in the short time you've been with us, and how we've got a wide skill set in our team, a small team, but it's we've got different strengths when it comes to personality types and different attributes that we all share. Having an environment where it's okay, number one, to admit your weaknesses, but lean on each other as well. And we're fortunate at OpenBlend because we have the product, the OpenBlend product to rely on and lean on. And what that does for people who may be listening and don't know what OpenBlend's about it's a really a great tool for allowing individual members to mark their own motivators for what they get out of bed for every single day. And that might be, 4 or 5 things, it might be 8 things, and it can range from anything that's home based or work based. So it's a way for me as a manager to be able to manage each one of you very, very individually, be able to speak to and manage the needs that you have, but also I can play to the strengths as a team because I see everyone. So I know that if you were to say something to me, I can go, okay, well, I know that's a weakness for someone else that we're looking to fill. So that fills that hole really nicely. And equally, when I'm hiring, I know the weaknesses that we have as a team, and I know the experience that I need to hire into, and that really comes from I use a competency framework, so I'm able to not only have great conversations with OpenBlend, I'm able to manage through objective setting people's personal development plans, aligned with a competency framework. So again, it's really transparent. It's about having conversations. It's about setting projects that enable my team to be able to identify something they need to work on, aligning with that competency framework for their level, and really work with me and take it away and develop that particular skill set. It's not just about the nuts and bolts. I know how to do Excel, or I know how to write a performance review. It's also personality strengths as well. So having strong communication skills, being able to, confidently talk to customers and hold their ground, and all those types of things which we've already discussed, but are really important to being an excellent CSM.
Yeah, definitely. And as a leader in customer success, would you say that your personality traits have changed, adapted over time?
I think I was born to be a CS leader. I think it's in my blood. I honestly do. I do think I've been put on this earth to do this, which makes it an absolute pleasure coming to work every day because I get to do what I'm passionate about and that I love. And I think that just translates to, I love being a coach. So that's one of my attributes that I play to. And I love having, a team that I can cultivate and work with and coach and, just share my experience, because I've had, years of experience working in small businesses, but also really, really big businesses where I've had, corporate end of the model, and lots of different people to, take cues from, and people with, more experience, less experience. So yeah, I think my strength is probably having those attributes that kind of put me quite, not everyone wants to be a leader, but I choose that role. I kind of take that quite seriously.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're able to adapt with the setting that you're in, right? Because it's not, I imagine the way you would look for personality types if you're growing a team within a corporate entity is very different to a startup.
Absolutely. But, it's all about understanding what strengths and weaknesses you need for the delivery of the best outcomes. And customer success is really about enabling customers to achieve what they've bought your product for. So, that journey to get them there is requires a lot of process. And I love process. Process, documentation, standardization is what I stand for. It's my core value. So I'm really well suited to this role. Unfortunately, whether it's in a large organization or a small one, I'm still able to replicate those same things. So it's scalable, and we come up with solutions as a team. We come up with solutions. We have the customer success surgery in OpenBlend. So not only are we gaining strength from our immediate CS team, we're also going out to the business to say, right, let's get all of our heads on this. We need a solution that will help the customer. What's the best idea we can come up with or evolve? And that's really super exciting to not only just draw on our CS team, but also kind of go to the wider business as well, because they have very different personality traits.
Definitely. Do you know that was something really interesting? I was having a chat with someone in a coffee roulette earlier today, and which is a a thing that goes out weekly for us here at OpenBlend, which matches you with someone else at the business just to chat about things, as long as it's not work, basically, just to get to know each other. It's something that really improves sort of company and culture fit when you're all working remotely. And one of the things that they mentioned was that they love the CS surgery, and
really?
they really love getting involved and helping from a different angle, and it helped them understand the sort of CS lens.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely having all of those different personalities coming in, it is such a gift. Because I know we both know, don't we? It's not at every business. Not everyone wants to get involved in other businesses.
And I think that does make us special, and certainly our customers would probably, the number of case studies we've got, people who want to talk about OpenBlend, it's just testament, really, I think, to the service and delivery that we offer. And definitely. We've had a reference from one of our US customers who have said, I've never ever come across a tech vendor that does like the service and the onboarding as well as OpenBlend, which is, it blows me away. It really does. But it's, we do things well. What can I say?
It's quite nice, isn't it, to have 20 minutes to just brag about how well we do.
But it kind of bringing it back to that, finding your art, that relationship cultivation and customer success. It really comes down to the individuals that we have working for us and how they're individually able to build rapport with the customers and find the strength from the team in order to deliver even better service. It's maybe just the culture we have, but our product does kind of also create that culture. So it's special because of the product, probably, as well, that it has knock-on effects to it.
Definitely lends itself. And we mentioned earlier that there can be some drawbacks to the sort of typical customer success fit. Do you want to go into a little bit more detail about that?
Yeah, I mean, there are people who wouldn't be well suited, and I think I don't see many people leave the profession, to be honest, because it does attract a certain personality type, and if you're not empathetic, or you're more, a lot of people will move out of sales into CS because it's the softer side of them. They wanted to work in sales, and they've been maybe successful in sales because of that relationship building aspect, because no one's really in sales if you don't like speaking to people. But it's that softer empathy side, and I suppose if you don't have that, it's really not a good fit, and it requires that. I mean, we've kind of talked about it in that mirroring or matching of working with different customers, different personas, and a CSM really either finds their way in one particular industry, and you become a product expert, an industry expert, and you deliver almost consultative, high touch CS work, or you can jump from one industry to the next, because it really is just about delivering success metrics. And people who aren't process driven will not survive in our business, because it is so process driven. It requires such a high level of standard, and everyone needs to be delivering on the same customer experience. That anyone who is working outside of those lines will quite quickly find that they need to move on.
And also I think customer success businesses, because it's a fairly new, in comparison to other disciplines, fairly new to a lot of businesses in the tech world specifically. It's sometimes a place where there isn't process yet in place. So I think, would you say, if that was the one sort of top tip to give a manager of a customer success team, it's learn the processes?
Yeah, I would say listening to what people are complaining about, and then find a process that supports that and fixes that problem. So, for example, I've had experience of delayed renewals. So I inherited a situation where we had overdue renewals in a previous business, and having an overdue renewal really impacts the business that you work for, and enabling that to not having a process in place to fix that is a big problem for the business.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that for that example, you just go, okay, delayed renewals, that they don't happen anymore, and tracking them through a report. It's a process. You're able to track and really manage upstream and be able to ensure that that doesn't happen. So there's just one way of adding a process to fix a problem. You know, there are lots and lots of examples, and I work to a framework, so I'm able to go into a business, identify lots and lots of different areas to optimize the whole CS program. And we've talked about a couple of topics now, but you know, looking at everything from the team and how their strengths are playing out. You know, what gaps do we have? What do we need to hire? How is the treatment model? How is that creating either reactive or proactive work? Mm-hmm. Who's using the same deck for a performance review? How frequently are people reaching out? How do we work with other parts of the business? That's just a few to name, but I've even standardized that framework. So as a leader going in, I would say there are so many different aspects to the CS discipline. We're talking about it in 5 basic ways of breaking it down, but you know, you can find wins if there is no processes. Just figure out the problems that are hurting the customer most, because internal stuff you can fix behind the scenes, but if it's hurting the customer, you're going to be losing their business. So if anything, my top tip would be that.
That could, because for me it wouldn't necessarily be if I was trying to put my novice customer success hat on, I might not think that process was a personality trait of a customer success manager. I might lean completely towards that, you know, it's all about the rapport building, but one hand has to feed the other. I think that's such a good takeaway from today.
I mean, if you don't work to a process, then how have you got any way to ensure the consistency and the standards of delivery, the service remain really high for that customer? You know, at the end of the day, you've got to provide an excellent service, and they've got to have a really great experience with you as a business. And you're that one point of failure. So if you standardize that, it puts the whole process for you managing your accounts into a much easier, less stressful way. You know what's coming up, you know what you have to deal with, and you've got room to deal with surprises.
Because you're prepared, basically. As someone said something once about preparation and planning and process. There's a line there somewhere. But I think I feel as though we'll probably go into that a little bit more about when we talk about the science, which is actually our topic for next week.
No, Wednesday.
Sorry, I keep saying next week.
We finish our series this week.
I mean next time.
We're cramming them in this week.
Yeah, we are. So next.
So we can work on more. Looking forward to
tomorrow. Exactly. And actually, we should say if there are topics that people would like us to talk about, then we're very happy to hear from people about that.
Absolutely.
So, what would be your number one takeaway about the art of customer success?
The number one takeaway I would say is know what you're good at, lean on it. Be transparent and use that to your advantage to build rapport with customers. And if you've got other strengths in the team, lean on them as well. So don't be shy in using someone else's strength to help you.
I love that. I couldn't have put it better myself.
Oh, very good. We'll end on that note, Clarice. Thank you so much for joining me again.
Yes.
And I will see you for our next session 4 on Wednesday.
Tuesday. It's tomorrow, 4 o'clock, same time. That's it. One of us knows what's going on. It's
back tomorrow.
Customer success, and we'll be talking about customer success as a science. And I'll be doing more of a question and answer with Shelley, as she is the boss when it comes to customer success as a science.
Thanks, Clarice.
No worries. I should say thanks, Shelley.